even when I'm too tired in the morning, or even when I'm a little, like feeling a little under the weather because I know I didn't sleep enough, or, I forgot a meal, and, all that, that discomfort that exists is not nearly as uncomfortable as going to bed at the end of another day where I didn't do anything that was actually important to me because I spent all my time working for a job that wasn't benefiting my dreams. And I spent all day, doing things for other people that didn't fulfill my spirit. So like, there's levels to discomfort, and it's much more uncomfortable to live in an authentic life than it is to be tired while living an authentic life.
1, 2, yeah. Come on. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Yes, sir, you are tuned in. This is for the SB1200, ASR 10s and NPC heroes. This is for the crate digging, loop getting, sound manipulators, the Fruity Loop reasoning machine innovators that pump the bass and frequently freak the kick in a stand till it slaps in your speakers. The sound providers that make sure the song is tight. Shout out to the producers, Beats Grinding Life. Shout out to the producers, Beats Grinding Life.
Welcome to the Beats Grinding Life podcast with your host, Siren, a weekly interview podcast with inspiring music producers, where every week you will learn from a different music producer how to potentially take your music career to the next level.
Today's episode of Beats Grinding Life is brought to you by Audible. Get a free audio download and 30-day free trial at beatsbooks.com. Over 180,000 titles to choose from on your iPhone, Android, Kindle, or MP3 player. Some recommended readings by past Beats Grinding Life guests like 48 Laws of Power, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, The Secret, Tools of Titans, and The Song Machine are all available with Audible. Once again, go to beatsbooks.com to get your free book. What's up, Beat Grinders? This is Siren Beats, the host of this podcast, Beats Grinding Life, a podcast dedicated to educating, connecting, and guiding producers of all levels all around the world. This week, we have Trap Jesus.
Hey, what's up, everybody?
Trap Jesus is a music artist, songwriter, DJ, producer, educator, based out of Seattle, Washington. You may also know him as Luke Motherf Rain. He's one part of the up-and-coming production group Bounce Gvng. The Pacific Northwest music guru currently is a teacher at Producer Dojo. Trap Jesus has placements with Luck One, Sam Shoemaker, Bingx, and many more. He currently just released an EP entitled The Grimy Gospel with Sam Shoemaker, available on all streaming platforms. Yo, Trap Jesus, what's up, man?
Man, life is beautiful. I'm thankful. I have no complaints.
That's what's up, man. That is definitely what's up. Life is beautiful, man. Today is beautiful because I get to chat it up with you today, man. And I'm just thrilled to have you up on here. We definitely had a lengthy conversation before we hit record. And so, man, I mean, I just can't wait for the Beat Grinders to hear what you have, because you've already been spitting lots and lots of gems that I can take from what you've said, man. So
you got the private stock. that's the homie hookup gems.
For sure, man. That's what's up, man. Well,
man, I'm super happy to be here. Thanks for having me on, man.
No doubt, man. No doubt. Well, I just let the listeners know a little bit about you by reading that nice little intro. Why don't you expand on that intro, man? Why don't you let them know a nice little fun fact that they don't know about you?
Man, I'm Trap Jesus. I'm a Pisces. I'm a carpenter by trade, and I work with my father and my brother. Okay. And yeah, man, I've played a lot of roles in music and followed a lot of different passions, which have all led me to right where I am, right when I'm supposed to be here. So life is good. You know, I've got my skills in beat making, songwriting, you know, doing vocals on the mic, audio editing, audio engineering, mixing, mastering, DJing, you know, had all these opportunities to learn all these different skills and work with dope people, and now it's all coming together as Trap Jesus.
Nice, man. That's what's up, man. You are definitely a jack of all trades, man. It sounds like you can do it all, man.
You know, selectively I can do like a whole bunch of things if I really work to schedule them and make them certain ones a priority at the right times, right? But then there's certain things that you got to say absolutely no to.
Yep.
Are you going to work on this car and help me fix it? No, definitely not. I'm not the guy to talk to.
Right.
You know, you need me to help you build a fence? I'm definitely that guy. You feel me? Like, skills I got, skills I decided, you know, not for me. Other people got that.
Yep.
Thanks, society.
So, I mean, you did mention that you work for your pops. You work with your brother. What are the perks of that as far as like your music career? Like, I mean, are you able to take the time off that you need to get stuff done music wise, or to take trips to different events? Or, I mean, does that work towards your advantage?
Absolutely, man. I gotta give a big shout out to my dad and my brother. We're all partners in this business, and without them, I really couldn't, you know, make it work as well as I do. I make it my point and my mission to spend 1 week a month outside of Seattle making music and networking with people, generally to go, you know, with the good excuse of going to a good, you know, in a big event like ASCAP Expo or iStandard Beast of the Beats, and get out there. So these guys, you know, being here, if the job isn't quite done that I was working on before I roll out of town, I know I've got two very capable, trustworthy people that I can always hand a project to, and vice versa. If I get back to town and I don't have anything lined up, you know, that I specifically lined up for me, often they're like, hey, by the way, I could use a hand on this job I just set up. I could use your help. Okay. And then I get to it, you know. Sometimes I'm, you know, basically sometimes we each run point on different jobs, and I schedule the ones I'm running points on for the 3 weeks a month I'm in Seattle. Okay. Or less. And then make sure I don't schedule myself anything I must be doing in Seattle for a month. And so shouts to family, man. Shouts to family for helping make dreams real. That's what's up, man. Yeah. They're both musicians too, so they get it. My dad's been a bass player since, you know, 1970 or so, and my brother's a drummer, you know, his whole life. So both of them really get it and understand and support. In fact, my brother's going to be playing drums for this EP release show. That's dope. I was just so we got rehearsal on Monday. That's dope, man. This is the way we've done it most, is by doing live shows together. That's his forte. His favorite thing is, you know, performing live. He's been with all sorts of bands and all sorts of genres, and did like marching band like from middle school through college. You know, played, you know, worked his way up playing every instrument through the Cougar marching band, all the drum instruments. Okay. You know, started on cymbals, and then you get to move up to the snare, you know, the snare, and then you get to move up to the bass drum or whatever, you know, like, and he moved all the way up, and he was like the lead of the bass drums. Yeah. Big ups to my brother. He's at Ian V Drums, EANV Drums. Okay. On IG. Nice. Get him some followers. Yeah, shout out to him. You need a drummer in the Northwest. Pick up your phone right now and follow this guy. And that's what's up, man. And then, by the way, I should probably plug myself too. Do it. Plugging all my friends and my family. I'm at What Would Trap Jesus Do on IG and Facebook and YouTube and such. Okay. My Gmail. You guys got more work to do. Go follow Trap Jesus as well. So that's what's up, man. Well, you are known as Trap Jesus, and I'm sure that you have like just some dope 808s, probably some dope trap drums, but it kind of sounds like you may have some dope break beats as well with your brother playing drums. You ever sample them? Yeah, a little bit. I used them for this one track we were trying to get in a car ad. They ended up going with Queen, Another One Bites the Dust, it turned out. Oh. But, you know, you know, we still end up making a cool track. So it's all good, you know. Sometimes, you know, you're not hitting the shot you thought you were shooting at, but there's another target past that. So you never know. Take it all positively.
Sometimes it could be a better one, man. You made that song made place for something else. Even better.
Amen.
So
amen. I got some cool live drums on it from him, some cool live horns on it from my homies in Atlanta, JB and his friends. So
dope.
Shouts out to JB is the truth if you need horns at Atlanta.
Nice, man. We're just gonna call you Trap Jesus the Plug, man. You got the plug.
I mean, pretty much, man. Although I don't want to step on Atlas the Plug's toes, man.
Yeah,
you already got that brand pretty sewn up, man.
True.
Shouts to Blap Chat and the whole gang over there with Illmind.
Yeah, let's not do that. Shout out
Hip Hop
to
Podcast Love.
Shout out to Atlas the Plug, past Beats Grinding Life guest, man. So definitely don't want to step on his toes, man.
That's what's up. I got to meet him in Ill one time at the I Standard New York, and then
nice.
and then again at their Past the Aux LA when they were out there. Crazy, yo. We're at the Past the Aux LA, you know, just hanging out, doing our thing, and then who walks in? Money Making Matt, head of A&R at Dreamville.
Wow.
Basically, J. Cole's right-hand man walks in, and I got to play a beat that literally I had been telling my homies, nah, I'm saving this for J. Cole. And I got to play it for Money Making Matt and sing the chorus that I had written and email it to him, and finally know for a fact J. Cole didn't actually need that beat. So, okay, I guess my homies can get on it now.
That's tight, man. You're talking about shoot your shot, man. You got to do that, man.
Right.
How many producers, I mean, can actually say that when they make a beat? Because I know I got plenty of beats stashed away. I'm like, okay, this is for so-and-so. This is for Nas. This is for Jay. This is for, you know, whoever. And how many people can actually say, I made this for this person, and their guy got to hear it, you know? That's what's up.
Yeah, man. I mean, at least his manager got to turn it down. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly, man.
But it's all good, man. It's a little bit closer, man. I look at it like blips on a radar, man. You go out, you meet somebody one time, you're a blip on the very outside of the radar. Are you friendly or are you acting like a bogey? Right?
right.
And then next time you see him, you go to another event. You know, the first time you see him, act like you're gonna see him again.
Right.
This isn't your only shot. This is your only shot to not be a weirdo the first time they see you. But like, as long as you cover that and are cool and like vaguely memorable, like that's good.
Yeah.
And the second time you be a little closer, like, didn't I see you at? And then the third time it's like, oh yeah, I remember your name.
Nice.
And then the fourth time they say hi to you, and they stop and say hi to you instead of you saying hi to them.
Right.
You know, it's all about showing up like you're actually supposed to be there, and then all of a sudden you are, because everybody around knows you.
That's so what's up, man. That's gems right there, man. I mean, beat grinders, you've heard this before, because in the last episode with the Genius, he touched up on the same exact thing. You know, when you meet somebody at a event or something, you just say, hey, what's up? I like your music. Second time you say, hey, I met you before as such and such. And then eventually you guys start clicking. You guys start seeing each other, and you're like, this guy is definitely on his grind because he's always here. Let me see what he's about. So that's what's up. Thank you.
Even the dopest part is, even if you're not that dope yet, a lot of people like don't get out because they don't feel they're dope enough yet.
Right. Mm-hmm.
But build your skills while you build your network. So by the time your skills actually catch up, you've got a lot of dope people that want to fuck with you who have also been getting super dope over the last 5 years and getting all their connections up.
Damn.
That's really where it's at. Like, don't wait to be a person in the community.
Right. That's what's up, man. Damn. Okay. All right, man. Well, here on Beats Grinding Life, man, the first question I always ask is, how did you get into music production? It sounds like your dad plays the bass, and so it just sounds like music has always been in your family. But what made you want to get into music production? And then, what made you want to get into music? And then what made you want to start doing music production?
Man, from a real young age, I always would Weird Al parody my favorite tracks and rewrite the lyrics, you know. And I loved making mixtapes, from either the radio or from the CD player to my cassette player, so I could because I didn't have any money. I was 10 years old, I couldn't buy myself a walk or a Discman, so I had to work with the old Walkman that was sitting in the drawer.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Make a cassette for myself. So I was like, all right, man, I just get my hands on it.
Nice.
But it never occurred to me in Seattle, Washington, that I could be the one actually making the music until I was 16 years old. And my buddy I'd known since first grade, Lawrence Epps, hit me up and say, yo, bro, like, come over to the house after school. I got some programs we can make beats.
Nice.
And this dude had Fruity Loops 2 demo. And he had Acid Music 2.0. The least expensive possible beat making setup in the entire world.
Right.
The thing about FL Demo was you could use the whole program, get all the sounds, use the whole sequencer. You just couldn't save the session.
Okay.
So the first thing I ever learned how to do past like sequence a loop was export stems. So it's like,
Nice.
all right, now we put those into Acid. We got all these loops. Now we'll just arrange the song over here. You write over there, arrange over there. And I was like, cool, that's easy. So I went home and I downloaded FL Demo and I asked my mom to get me Acid Music, which just turned out to be like on sale at Ross for like $15 that week when she went to the store. It was like perfect. And
Nice.
then you know, God rest her soul, my grandmother passed and left me a Casio keyboard
Dope.
that I was able to plug in via some of the weird cables we had lying around my house from my dad's band days to my old school shitty computer and actually record in the Casio.
Dope.
And so now I had a few ways to make music, and then I just never ever stopped.
That's what's up, man.
And that's the key.
At
Just
16.
once you get the bug, never stop.
Yep. I'm loving that, man. Well, shout out to FL Studio. Seems like so many guests on here have started out with FL, specifically FL 2.0. A lot of people say version 2 for some reason. I don't know why, but that's what's up. FL Studio, and then also Casio. So many producers have gotten their start on Casio when they first started playing keys. It was on
Yeah,
Casio.
because
so.
it's low cost. It's
Yep.
low barrier to entry. You know, you want to dip your toe in.
Yep.
You know,
Yep.
you don't want to go buy a motif at the time, you know, and spend like $1,500 on your first keyboard.
Right.
Nah, let me see what I can get for $89.95 and see if this is even a thing I want to be doing by next week.
Right.
It makes sense.
Yep.
But once I was hooked, I had the fortunate opportunity of linking up with my guy Gabe Karp, whose older brother is Josh Karp, better known as Budo, one of the two producers, one of the main producers on Macklemore's, both his 2005 album and his 2017 album.
Okay.
So shouts to Budo, great producer. He's worked with, also he produced, they were signed to Rhyme Sayers as Budo and Greaves, or Greaves and Budo, I believe, and did another project called Two Africans and a Jew.
Nice.
with two dope MCs from the African dudes out in the Midwest.
Okay.
That was really cool. But he used Reason and taught his brother how to use Reason, and then his brother taught me how to use Reason. And we got the school somehow to give us some money to put together a beat making class my senior year of high school.
Really? Damn.
Yeah. So we put it together like that, and me and my buddy made, you know, a little album for our senior project. You know,
Nice.
It's basically an excuse to just sit and make beats all, half the day at school.
Right.
And it worked out really well. And then, me and my buddy put together a little rap album. We made the beats and we wrote the rhymes and we recorded it and we quote unquote mixed it. we pushed the faders up and down a little and then hit print.
Right.
I'll be honest. We didn't know what we were doing at all. But, you know, it was something that we could show our friends, and everybody we showed it to was like, oh, this isn't as bad as I thought it would be, which is really encouraging when nobody had any faith in you at all from the start. It's like, oh, it's not bad?
Right.
Oh, okay. Well, then I guess I can eventually be okay. Maybe good. I'll keep going.
Wow, man. Wow, that's awesome, man. I'm just impressed with the fact that you were able to talk your school into giving you guys money to teach
I
a
still
class.
don't really know how it happened. And then we got Red Bull to give us money to put on a hip hop show. And that was a great show. It was at the old Vera Project in Seattle when it was still down on 4th Ave upstairs in that weird upstairs space. And we had One Below from Binary Star as our headliner.
Nice.
We flew him out from Detroit. And then we had a Source of Labor, Jay Moore, late great Jay Moore's band. It was their last all ages show they ever played. They did a couple more 21 pluses and then disbanded. So like Vitamin D was there. He was the DJ for that band. Jay Moore was there, and you know the whole rest of that band. And then we had like a Budo was the opening rapper with his buddy A-OK. And then Sonny Bonaho and Greasy Earl, later Ricky Farrow were on that bill. Clockwork was on the bill with Lace Cadence, now of Flavor Blue fame.
Okay. I'm not familiar with them. But
Flavor Blue is dope. It's Hollis Wong Ware, who was in White Walls with Macklemore. She was a singer on White Walls.
Oh, okay.
And then Lace Cadence and Parker. And yeah, they do some really good like dance pop music.
Nice.
Straight out of Seattle. So big ups to all these Northwest artists.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, so we had this, we put on, somehow we got like, I don't know what we got. We got like $1,000 from Red Bull or something. And a whole bunch of free Red Bull just to put on a show. And they didn't even make us like put up Red Bull signs. We were like, oh, should we like put up a bunch of Red Bull banners? And I'm like, no, I don't really care.
God damn.
Just like have Red Bull for sale at the event. I'm like, okay.
That's sick, man.
That's all you want.
That's dope, man. There's definitely a few artists that you mentioned that I recognize, man. And I just want to say shouts out to Source of Labor, man. I got a chance to watch them, and of course they aren't together anymore, but yeah, man.
But that was a classic era in Seattle hip hop, Northwest hip hop in general, man.
For sure, man. And definitely shout out to Sonny Bonaho, man.
Hey, he was Greasy Earl's hype man. He got to do one of his own tracks, but the chorus was, everybody say Bo, no, ho. Never forgot him after that, man. Shouts to Sonny Bonaho forever, man. Big salute.
That's what's up,
multi-talented, rapping, writing, doing crazy dope video work. Yeah, man, he does dope videos for like Nappy Roots videos and a bunch of other people.
Yep.
I saw him and Nappy Roots perform together at South by Southwest on accident 2 nights in a row on South by Southwest. It was crazy. I was like, oh, I wonder what's in this bar. It's like, holy shit, it's Sonny Bonaho and Nappy Roots. And then the next night, I wonder what's in this bar. Holy shit, it's Sonny Bonaho and Nappy Roots.
Their styles just don't mesh to me, but that's what's up, man. That's the thing about Sonny.
It's funny, but they're all just such like fun-loving, happy to be their weird selves kind of people.
Right.
You know, like, yeah, Sonny Bonaho is like super Northwest and they're super down South, but like, I could see how they would like, just as people, like super get along.
Yeah, that's true. And I mean, Sonny, it just seems like he could get along with anyone, so.
And his live set is just so like fun and high energy. Like I would see why they would want him as an opener. Just you get the crowd lit. Like I don't know who this guy is, but I kind of fucking love him already. He's just so confident about it.
That was definitely my impression when I first heard him. So
hell yeah,
that's
bro.
What's up, man. Well,
she likes to get in the mood. That video with the watermelon though. We were at Beat Camp LA, Standard, when he debuted that video. He like pre-showed us. We projected it up on the wall and the whole room was dying. We could not get over that watermelon, bro. We was talking about it all week.
Oh man, that's what's up. Shout out Sonny Bonaho, man.
Sonny Bonaho. That's the same weekend I got the Trap Jesus nickname, bro.
Oh really? Did someone give that to you?
Yeah, I don't even know who it was, man.
Bam, but when you heard it, you knew that you had to keep it. You had to keep it.
It took me like a year to really embrace it, to tell you the truth. Everybody else knew in the moment they heard it that's exactly what and who I was. It took me a while to realize that was real.
Right.
You know? Like, that I could actually just say, yeah, I'm Trap Jesus.
And
yes.
and Luke Rain started fading away at that very moment.
Yeah, Luke Rain is now, I mean, it's now kind of like the business side of my music. Like Luke Rain is the name of my publishing company. Luke Rain Music is the name of my LLC, my business entity. So, you know, it's the more, it turns out Luke motherfucking Rain is the more professional side of the equation. Whereas Trap Jesus is the party side.
Well, I love it either way, man. I definitely love it, and I love the Trap Jesus name, man. Whoever gave that to you, man, props to them, man, for sure.
Man, some angel, man. Like it was the first round of Beast of the Beats LA, and I, you know, had lost that year before that you were there to Don P in the first round. Okay, and I was like, all right, I'm coming with the trappiest trap beat I ever goddamn made. I wasn't even making that much trap at the time. I had more roots in like the boom bap styles and R&B. But like, So I was like, I'm just gonna go all the way trap on this beat and just hit him super hard. Nice. And that worked, you know, won that round. I get off stage and my buddy who was videotaping me high fives me and hands my phone back. And then the next guy high fives me, says, good job. And then the third guy high fives me, but he holds onto my hand and says, you're like Trap Jesus.
I can just imagine just a ray of light and just the as he's holding your hand. You're
right,
Jesus.
And I like remember it so clearly. I've literally never seen this dude again. Like at anything. I don't know who it was. He never told me his name. He's just some angel that showed up, gave me that one gift, and dipped out of my life. And I've heard people claim a lot of different people gave me that name, but it's all people that like reacted to the name later. Right. You know, like somebody tweeted it and everybody thought, oh, that was it. Or somebody Cardiac Snapchatted me the next day as Trap Jesus because he was the judge the next night. I lost that shit, but everybody knew me as Trap Jesus after he Snapchatted me. So it's like, man, one loss is another win, man.
Yep, exactly.
And shouts out to the homie Blake Smith Beats from Paris, France. Mm-hmm. Good buddy of my Bounce Gvng brothers, Black Bell and Lawless out there. And he came with the mixes that slapped that night and just knocked me out of that one.
Damn. All right, man. Well,
like I said, learning experiences.
Yep. Well, when you were first starting out, man, who were some of the producers that inspired you? Who were some of the producers that, you know, you were like, damn, I want to have a sound like them. I want to make beats like them one day, or...
Yeah, hell yeah. Early on, man, super like really was into DJ Premier shit. Nice. And then actually DJ MB, which is a throwback. Yeah. DJ MB was the DJ for Loop Troop, a Swedish rap group, who was I always felt like MB was like the European DJ Premier. Like his sample chopping and sample flipping abilities were just like out of this world, like Primo shit. Okay. And then growing up, I mean, Dr. Dre is like gotta be like my number one most influential like, you know, musician from early childhood, because I mean, I was like 7 years old when The Chronic dropped. And even though I didn't have that album, there's so many of those tracks on the radio and like Nothing But a G Thing. I memorized. It was the first song, rap song that I memorized all the lyrics to. Nice. You know, nice. And then, I mean, Timbaland, huge influence, man. Like, just the way he always uses super left field sounds. Right, yeah. And finds a way to layer these really cool, organic with synthetic textures to make his shit just like sound more interesting than other people's beats. Right. That's like definitely early hip hop influences. Mm-hmm. And then, like I was saying, through like EDM, really been liking, you know, Skrillex really got me into a lot, in Diplo. I really love that whole project they did together. That Jack U was super influential to me. Just like not being afraid to use all sorts of weird sound, change up with the concept of a snare, even is like drops that you never heard before, shit that still sounds fresh 2-3 years after it dropped, because nobody, even though it influenced everybody, nobody's quite matched it in what it is, you know? So it's like, that kind of shit, and then listening to people like Ill Gates, for example, has been a huge influence on me, especially since I joined his school and started learning his tips and tricks and applying them in my life. Right. So shouts to Ill Gates and the Producer Dojo and Spiderhound and everybody over there for being such big helping me grow and learn so much. Man, some certain, like, I mean, then I said Bass Nectar. When we were talking before, like Bass Nectar has been a huge influence on me, just to go weirder and focus on getting better at making my sound, you know, my mixing better. Just because like his sound selection and his mixing are just so on point that it's huge. And RL Grime for like, speaking of huge drops, oh my god, that dude blows my mind over and over. I don't know if you heard that track he did with Miguel called Stay For It.
No, I don't think so.
Whew, that one gets me every time, man. Miguel hits the shit like Stay for it. I'll do my best in Miguel attempt, but put that in Miguel's voice, and then put like an epic build up, and then have the drop just blow your head off, and then you'll get what I'm going for.
Okay. I can imagine Miguel's voice, but yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's
you might have to imagine real hard after what I just did.
I want to say I know the song.
I got my vocal
about.
Pocket. That wasn't it.
I want to say I know the song you're talking about. I didn't know. That's
it was
crazy.
definitely on the radio. It definitely hit the EDM radio and a bit of the pop radio that leans EDM. So it's very possible you heard that one. But yeah, RL Grime, Stay For It is huge, and then another one, Feel Free. Like those are huge influences of mine right now. Dope. Especially Feel Free right now. That track just
Okay, so I mean we see who's influenced you before and who's influencing you now, and it's definitely it seems like it switched up a little bit from straight up boom bap to, well, I guess you said it's always been Dre, but kind of like I was thinking if you think about it, like my hip hop influences, the three people I gave you, there was you know what? Whose influence I just have to add right now? Who's that?
Slept on as a producer, Pimp C.
Nice. Yes.
Bro, like his sound, the way he sped the drum machine up to slow it down and have fast hi-hats, but a slow hip hop beat, like is some innovation he was doing in like 94, 92. And that really started to catch on, and then he was friends with DJ Screw in Houston, and then the Chopped and Screwed sound, which all gave birth to trap.
Right. Yeah.
And which is literally all of music right now. Like find me a hit song with zero trap sub influence, and we'll if there's not a trap sub or a trap hat in there, I will like applaud you at finding something really classic on the country station.
No, you're definitely,
because even the country hits right now got some trap to them. It's crazy.
Right. You're right.
So shouts out to Pimp C. But like, so yeah, like whether it's Texas or LA or New York or Virginia, like there's the sounds, like finding these sounds that are special from and innovative from somewhere has always been my favorite thing. Like, why is this one stand out? It doesn't matter where it's from or like what area, but as long as it's got that special something to it.
Nice, man. Nice. Well, I'm loving that, man. Yeah, definitely a broad range of influences, a whole bunch of different kind of producers. But like you said, they all have that one thing in common. Their music stands out and their music doesn't sound like anyone else's. And these people aren't chasing what's popular on the radio or whatever. They're creating what's popular on the radio, So
it's being just enough ahead of the wave to ride it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? If the surfer's got to be right in front of the wave, that's where you get the best momentum.
Nice.
And if we're aiming at the peak of the wave, by the time we get there, we're behind the wave.
Right. Wow.
And then there's nothing to ride. I heard a musicologist who used to work as Prince's engineer back in the day and now teaches at Berkeley talk about that at Upstream. Rest its young soul last year. But yeah, man, she had this graph about like, pop music is generally like right at the top of the wave. Right. But the people who are putting that music out are people who can get product out very fast and have a machine built for them to get their music everywhere instantly.
Wow. That's,
so it's like if Rihanna can hop on a wave, Drake can hop on a wave that here's happening today and have a single out next week that is fully ready to go. Whereas like me, if I'm trying to get a sound to an artist of that level, it's going to take me longer.
Right. Yeah.
Because it's me trying to get that sound to them, not him finding my sound and then rolling with it. Right. So it's like if I'm going for a placement, I have to do some shit that's left of center so that I can get it to the A&R who likes that shit enough to show it to the artist that hopefully digs it enough to write to it and then record to it. And then that song hopefully makes it on to the short list for their album, and then makes it on to the very short list for their album, and then doesn't get cut by the label for some reason, and then doesn't have any sample issues or anything like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
In that 2-year period, my shit can't sound old yet. I gotta hit him with that Jack U sound. You know what I'm saying? That 3 years ahead sound, so that in 2 years it's still 1 year ahead. You feel me?
Damn.
If I shoot for right now, by the time it gets out, it's 2 years old.
Yep, it's too late.
Unless I'm putting it out.
Right.
Which is different. But if I do what everybody else is doing and I have a smaller platform, I'm lost in the mix. So same shit, I've got to be coming with that next shit. You know? Like Ill Gates likes to say, you have to be the purple cow. If you drive by a white cow or a black cow or a brown cow, you keep driving without a glance. You drive by a purple cow, you stop, you take a selfie, you post that shit on every network, you let people know you're going viral. You're going to break the internet. Right? You're going to tell everybody because it's remarkable, because it's different, because it's new. Right.
That's dope right there. That's dope. That's what's up, man. I mean, I never thought about that. You know, the bigger platform. I mean, but it only makes sense. The bigger platform you have, the easier it is to hop on a wave, you know. You hop on that wave.
Yeah, those people got big surfboards.
Yeah. Even if you're putting it on your album, you know, it might even take you a lot longer to put your album out just because of financial issues or whatever. You may not have the money
and then once I put it out, it's going to take, like, as an indie album, even if I indie hit right away, that's still, you know, what, like, you know, the tens of thousands of people that are fucking with my shit.
Right.
Maybe hundreds of thousands. That's a tiny percentage of the population, even if I'm at those dope numbers, right?
Yeah.
So, like, things build steam. Like, Macklemore's a great example. That track, Can't Hold Us, sounded super new and innovative when he sent it to his entire email list in 2011 and gave us a free download of this track they had been performing lately that people seem to really like.
Right.
In 2013, after Thrift Shop accidentally did Everything Ever, they were like, you know what songs are really dope that we should put out right the fuck now? That song we put out 2 years ago. Let's put that back out with a new video now that we have this budget.
That's dope.
And then that 2-year-old song that was innovative and different and nobody had a jam like that went number 1.
That's dope. Wow.
Right? So, you know, an innovative, dope record can be timeless. And so it can survive that incubation period.
That's crazy. I didn't know that was a re-release. That's nuts.
Yeah.
Wow, that's tight, man. That's tight. All right, man. Well, I'm having a great time talking to you, man. I hope that you're having a great time on Beats Grinding Life.
Yes.
Awesome, man. But unfortunately, this is the part where I'm going to have to try to make you cry. That's my goal on here, to make every producer cry. I haven't done it yet, but I'm still trying. So you're up next.
Good luck. I got a big old smile right now.
Well, let me see if I can break that smile, man. I want you to tell me, what is the greatest setback or failure that you've had coming up in the game so far that you've been able to bounce back from? And the only reason why is, we hate talking about setbacks and we hate talking about failures, but that's what helps us grow as individuals and producers. So maybe there might be a producer listening that's maybe going through the same thing that you once went through, and you can maybe help them out.
Man, gratitude is key. Gratitude. If you learn nothing else from all the shit I say today, be grateful.
Right.
My friend told me, thank you, I have no complaints. Thank you, I have no complaints. Thank you, I have no complaints.
Nice.
You say that shit 3 times and mean it changes the way you feel, for real.
Nah, man.
And Carlos Santana said, one cannot experience happiness if one is not experiencing gratitude.
Nice.
To loop that back around to your actual question, if everything is a lesson, there's no such thing as a loss.
Right.
You know, like, every single time I'm standing up there losing a beat battle, I'm listening to a list of reasons why I'm losing that beat battle that's building itself in my head. Like, oh wow, his kicks and his snares really hit harder than mine. Damn, the way he chopped that sample is filthy, and he really EQ'd it so that sample is bright and cutting through. Mine was not my sample was not present enough. Okay. Right. And his mastering is just clear. I think I'm squashing mine a little too much, and that's making those kicks and snares not hit like they were in the mix. Okay. And like, you know, before I'm even off stage and have shaken that guy's hand and you know, not made it to the next round, I've already got my template for how not to lose because of this specific reason next time. Right. And next time, depending on who I face, maybe I'll get lucky and somebody's learned less lessons than me and had less failures to learn from than me. You know that, but when I win those ones, all I learn is that guy needs to learn that lesson I learned last time. Right. Right. But when I lose, I learn like a list of like 5 specific things to go study. So really, man, like I've had times where I, you know, like when I was an MC, I'll give you one. I was at a show and it was like Ghostface and Brother Ali were there, and I got faded. Back at the time, I was still drinking, and I got faded like in the alley, shotgunning some beers. I think we smoked a joint, and then we get in the show, and like the host is like, "Yo, it's any MCs in the crowd. We're waiting for this to get started. Who wants to freestyle?" And my buddy's like, "Go!" I jump up on stage, and I'm kind of faded, and this is like a really mediocre freestyle started coming out of my mouth. Like something I knew I was way better. Just even as I'm saying these words, I'm like, this is garbage. And then a couple, like one guy goes boo, and then the host is like, thank you. All right, up next we got, you know, and then I'm just like standing there on the side stage like, fuck just happened? You know, I get that sinking feeling in the pit of my stomach, and you know, I went back to the bar. I'm standing there having a drink, trying to figure out what the fuck just happened. And then Brother Ali came on, and I was like, I gotta get out of my head. I paid a lot of money to be here, and these are 3 dope artists. It's Brother Ali and Ghostface and Rakim, all with a live band at the Showbox Market. Damn. One of the best shows I've ever been to. I bet. I learned at that moment, you know, a valuable lesson of how to laugh something off faster than I ever had before. Nice. You know, I'd had moments where I like forgot, you know, part of my words, but nobody even knew because they didn't know my song. You know what I'm saying? And like, just thought it was a mess up until nobody was perturbed. Right. You know, but that one, you know, was like, obviously, man, that could have been an opportunity to impress some people in that crowd, and I did not take it. Right. I did not maximize on that stage. Right. And I had a choice to sulk and let it ruin my night, or just say, man, you know what? This is gonna be one of the best hip hop shows I ever go to. Nice. Let me just rock this shit. That's dope. And I went back down into the pit, and he was still standing right at the front where we were, and we watched a great show. Dope. That's what's up, man. I mean, no losses, only lessons, man. Be grateful for every single thing, and you can always look back. Oh, that thing that happened 2 years ago that I was so mad about. You know, in 2020 hindsight, it turns out that was actually a good thing, because if that didn't happen, it wouldn't have led to the sequence of events. And now I'm glad I am where I am today, so I'm grateful for it. Right. It's super easy to put that shit in perspective comparatively in the past tense, but if you know you're eventually going to get there, why not just practice getting there faster? Yep. And just saying, you know what, this is a hard day. Thank you for this hard day, because it's another opportunity for me to learn how to respond well, even when things are difficult, and still push through and accomplish my goals, even though circumstances are not ideal. That's what's up, man. That is definitely what's up. Because, I mean, things aren't always going to go your way, unfortunately. And so, if you want to be in the music industry, most of things will not go the way you think and hope they will go. Right. And if you, if any of us chooses, you know, anger and resentment instead of gratitude and openness to a fluid, changing situation. You know, if you practice radical acceptance and say, okay, now I am not in this beat battle. Now I have a lot of other opportunities where my mind doesn't even have to worry about how I'm doing in the next round or what beat to play. I can just go start talking to people. If I like his beat and he just got off stage, I'm going to say hi. Even if he lost, I'm just going to be like, yo, dude, get him, man. I got knocked out too. Kill him. What's your name, bro?
Nice.
And the next year, you and that guy got a collab that's on somebody's album. You know, like it just works like that because you build the relationships and you keep working every day, and it all adds up. And if you could stay gratitude and stay grateful and stay positive for a sustained amount of time, it's incredible the momentum you can build up.
Yep. It's so true, man. I mean, it all sounds cliche and it all sounds
funny how cliches are the things that are like really true. That's why everybody says that.
right, man. But I mean, I know for me, like when I have a gratitude journal, and every morning that I write in that, I notice my days go a lot better than they do when I don't write in my journal.
Amen. Amen.
Yeah, definitely.
That's dope that you have a gratitude journal. Where did you pick up that practice?
What's his name? Hal Alrod has he has a book. I can't remember what the book is called, but he has a thing called Life Savers, and Savers is an acronym for silence, affirmation, visualization, exercise, reading, and scripture. And so for the last one, the scripture, I just chose to write, you can write anything, you know, but for the last one, I just chose to write what I'm grateful for.
That's a good choice. That's a great choice. In fact,
it's hard to get it every morning, you know, to do all those things every morning.
Routine is hard to keep up, but I mean, cumulative effect, man. More often than not is better than not, right?
Exactly.
In anything you're doing.
Yeah. In anything. That's so true, man. So
especially, producers in the studio, even if today you have 15 minutes, go through your drum sounds and put some good ones on a drum kit and save the preset.
Nice.
Go through the sounds you've saved as presets and put them in a template file so that next time you want to start making a beat, you don't have to spend 30 minutes digging for sounds.
Nice.
They're just there waiting and you just go. Like, leverage your short periods of time to get work out of the way so that when you have, say, all day Saturday, you can just rock and roll on that shit. You don't even have to get as many obstacles out of your way and then be as efficient as possible because you've set it up for yourself.
For that next opportunity.
The separations and the preparation.
Yep,
what's up, Russell Wilson?
I love it.
Name dropping left and right.
Oh man! All right, Seattle fan number 12, man.
Hey. Amen. Born and raised up here.
I try to make you cry, man. I couldn't, and that's all right, man. I'll work on the next guy. But we're just gonna hop on the other side of it, man. I want to know, what do you consider your greatest achievement that you've had in your career so far?
Man, probably being hired as a Producer Dojo sensei 9 months into my freshman year in the program.
Wow, that's what's up, man.
Yeah, man, I decided my main goal was to make sure I submitted to and was accepted to every single mixtape at the dojo. And they start a new one about once a month. New theme, and so you get the theme, you make your first draft, you put it on the thread, you get some feedback from the lead, you make another draft, you bring it back, and you do that over and over until they're like, yo, this is fucking dope, I'm pumped to put this on my mixtape.
Nice.
Right? And so I just decided, I learned and grew so much getting direct feedback on all the mistakes that I was causing that were making it harder for me to finish this song, and learning how to fix them, and then learning how to not cause them because I was getting constant feedback from people who are more experienced than me. And then it got to the point where, I had, like you said, visualization in the Lifesavers. Visualization, I visualized it. I was like, this is such a dope community. I want to give back to it. I want to work in it. I want to be a bigger part of it. And I see how I can help, like, they have tons of people who work in Ableton. They've got, a few people that do FL, a couple people that are in Logic and some other DAWs, and nobody that does Reason. And then I happen to be in LA, and I linked up with Ill Gates and got invited to his studio to watch him do a remix of Beastie Boys' Time to Get Ill, which was super dope to watch. I learned a lot during that. And at one moment in that, he was telling me that my mixtape, my track for the Say My Name cipher, where you'd make your own theme song, where I made my song Spell My Name. I'm a TRAPJESUS. Shouts out to all the people I sampled illegally on that track. It's okay, I'm not monetizing it. But he said, he was like, oh yeah, man, you nailed that. It's gonna be the lead off track of that cipher. Like, man, you've come so far in 9 months, man. I'm really proud of you. And so that felt good. Like, that was like already my win for the day. You know, I was like, damn, that's way more than I expected coming over here. I thought I just was coming to be a fly on the wall, but now I'm getting compliments too. That's dope. And then he says, man, this glitch just happened. Don't you hate it when Ableton does that glitch? I was like, nah, man, I use Reason. And he's like, oh, I need a Reason teacher. You want the job? Yes. Damn. Okay, cool, you're hired. Now, the glitch fixed. All right, back to the beat. And I was like, okay, cool. And it's funny because when you prepare yourself fully to actually have the opportunity and you visualize the opportunity, it's not that crazy, welling of emotion and feeling and that scariness that, like, like that jumping off a cliff or, 12-year-old trying to talk to the pretty girl at school, kind of butterflies in your stomach feeling, like, it's not that. It was just the calmest, clearest, simplest moment that just passed in an instant and just felt so chill. Right. Just once you prepare yourself for it and you decide that's what it's going to be, and you decide on your plan and you follow through on the steps that you laid out for yourself, and you show up and you show up and you show up. By the time you get there, you just already are that. It's not like, oh my God, how am I going to step up to this responsibility? It was, I made myself a teacher at the Producer Dojo by learning all of the things I would have to teach to the point where I could teach them and show that I knew them. And then I got a job.
Damn, man. Well, I mean, we just brushed up on this a little earlier, just preparing yourself, and so that way, like you said, when you have this big responsibility, it's not some big major, Mount Olympus that you need to climb up. You've already done all the legwork to get there, and so, man, that's pretty awesome, man.
Every day is a step up the mountain, right?
yeah.
Man, how do you do a lot of podcasts? Not always. It should start with one.
Yep.
Then do number 2. Eventually, you're at 100.
Yep. Exactly.
How do you make a lot of beats? How do you get 100 beats in your catalog? Well, today you better finish 1 beat.
Right.
And then tomorrow, if you finish 1 beat, then you have twice as many beats. You are 2% of the way there. Good job. Better keep showing up, though. That's 2%.
Yep. That's what's up, man.
Consistency.
What I was saying is it should be a step. It's not always a step. But like you said, you have to show up. That's half the battle right there, is just showing up. So
at least, man. At least half the battle, man. Once you're there,
it's hard. It's hard to get there for some people.
It's hard to get to the gym, but once you're at the gym, all you have to do is turn the treadmill on.
Yep. Exactly.
It's hard to get to yoga class, but once you're there, you've got a teacher just telling you what to do every 10 seconds for the next hour. You don't even have to think. It's like showing up. As long as you sit down at your DAW and give it your best attempt, it's closer. But you got to work smarter, not harder, too. Right. Like, take me. I'm the best example of what not to do. For way too long, I just kept pushing my own songs around my own DAW in my own room with my own poorly acoustic treated walls and my own way too much bass for the tiny space I was in at the time. Okay, yeah, man, I thought my shit was slapping until I got my ass handed to me at a beat battle, and then I'm like, what happened? It sounded good at home.
Right.
But now that I just have a bunch of people that I paid for the opportunity to give me unlimited track feedback, and others that I've built a relationship to the point where we mutually give each other feedback on our tracks. Like, once I had that, those types of currency in my bank, then I could get, bounce these ideas off the wall. Like, what part is working the least right now? I'll focus on that. What's the main thing I should fix? Oh, the subs aren't loud enough on this one. Thank you.
Nice.
Now I can balance this track better. And now I have like a reference point.
Dope, man. Dope. That's awesome, man. That's definitely, I mean, just working on your weaknesses, you know, and then you also said you putting yourself in opportunities, like, even if you have to pay for them, you know, I mean.
If we don't invest in ourselves, who's gonna? If you people want a label to invest in them, or a publishing company or whatever, but if we don't invest in ourselves, in our craft, in our network, you know, and then really in ourselves as people, you know, just by being better realized people and more authentic people, because that's the kind of people that attract people to work with them in creative industries, people you can vibe with.
Right.
You know, if you got to sit in a room for 8 hours to make a hit, but you can't stand the fucker for 15 minutes, it's not going to be a song.
Right.
So be a good person, show up everywhere that you have the means to. And, oh man, Illmind and Atlas, to bring them back up, we're talking on their recent podcast about Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and having a rich mindset versus the poor mindset. The poor mindset is, I can't afford that. Well, congratulations, you just closed off all your creative avenues for maybe doing it. Instead, say, how could I do that? What is the way where I can afford that? What things could I sacrifice financially? Maybe instead of eating out, I'll pack a lunch. Maybe, you know, I don't need to move into that bigger apartment. Maybe this one bedroom's cool. Maybe I don't need to own a car. Maybe I don't need to stay in hotels when I travel. And I'm going to crash on the homie's floor. You know, where can you sacrifice to make the shit happen?
Right.
And that allows you to create a plan of how it could be done, a possibility. And then at that point, once you have plans, you can look at those plans and say, okay, you know what? I can do this. Or, okay, you know what? That's way too much. This would disrupt my life in too many negative ways for it to be worth the positive benefits. I'm deciding that I'm going to use my time and money better. But that decision, instead of the assumption of impossibility, is power and agency in your own life.
Wow. That's dope, man. Wow, man. Wow. I love it, man. If you guys haven't heard that latest episode of Blap Chat, you guys definitely go do it. And then also go pick up Robert Kiyosaki's book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. It definitely had me thinking in a totally different way. And I need to reread that book. I've read it like 3 times, but
it's been a while for me too.
Yeah, when Illmind was talking about it, I was like, damn, I got to read that book just to reshift the way that I'm thinking, because that's what's up, man. And then you just brought it back up just to remind me again. So thank you for that, man.
Hey, and that's I truly believe when we're on the path of like authenticity and gratitude, like this is what I'm really about, and I'm thankful for being here even through the struggle, then all the things line up for you because you're right on the path that you needed to be on. You know, so it's like you setting up this conversation with me for a whole different set of reasons also had extra benefits of you like getting reminded of the things you needed to remember to do. Because you stepped into your authentic moment, and you have been doing it because you say, you know what I need to do? Make a producer podcast. That's really what I need to do. And here we are. Because you manifested this. Thank you.
That's what's up.
Thank you. I have no complaints.
That's what's up, man. Well, thank you for being a part of this show, man. I appreciate you, man. Definitely for getting my head in the right places again, man. You know, I often shift, you know, with some of the circumstances going on outside of the podcast, outside of music, and so definitely need people around you. Definitely need things around you, resources around you to keep your mind in that right space. So thank you, man.
Surround yourself with the good vibes.
Yep. Exactly.
Call out negative vibes kindly. Like, hey, is that attitude necessary right now? Like, what's up? Do we got to be that negative? I think we could do it. I bet we could get to LA. How's cheaper tickets? Nice.
Yep. I love that, man. All right, man. Well, here on Beats Grinding Life, man, we're striving for greatness. Sounds like you're trying to do the same thing. We want to learn from you, man. What do you do in a typical day, so therefore we can be on your level one day?
Man, my typical day, I've been evolving that. But something I realized that for the first time in my life, I'm truly spending more time on music than on anything else combined. I'm actually probably on average spending 8 to 10 hours a day on music at this point.
Nice.
I'll tell you what, I'm a night owl, so my day begins pretty late usually. I'm also Trap Jesus, self-employed carpenter. I've decided that since I'm self-employed and I get to choose my own jobs and choose my own time, I'm taking jobs that I don't have to spend long days doing, work about a half day at carpentry to save some energy and time for the nighttime grind.
Dope.
Try and eat healthy. I stopped drinking about a year and a half ago because it turned out hangovers and music production are completely incompatible for me. If I am drunk or hungover, there's no way music's getting made. And like I said, I was trying to get up to this 8 to 10 hours a day on this grind, and right. I mean, shoot, it turns out I can smoke weed and keep making music, but I can't drink and keep making music. So I was like, all right, that was an easy choice when it came down to being that simple. Then I'll really sit down. I'll probably get in the studio in and out, like, because it's in my office in my home a few times a day. But really, I'm a night owl, and everybody else stops calling, stops knocking on the door at like 11 o'clock. And so from like that 10 or 11 at night to 4 or 6 in the morning, that is my time to shine. And man, I just stay in the studio all night, and I sacrifice sleep. And actually over the past 3 weeks, I even worked to the point where I sacrificed my health. I had that the album release, the video release, right, 2 shows associated with the album release. That was Thursday, Friday last week, and then Tuesday I had 2 singles and a mixtape I curated for the Dojo release, and then I've got on Saturday I had the the beat battle up here in Seattle that Do 206 put on. Incredible event. So it's getting prepared for that too. And shout outs to my dude Fezzo for winning. Joe, you killed it, man. Nice. And shouts to my buddy Agent M from Bounce Gvng for also being in it with me. Nice. And that was a dope event. But basically, with all that, I was up till 6 a.m. and then up at like 11, or even earlier some days. And then that Friday, my mom needed a ride to a doctor's appointment in the morning, and I volunteered for some reason. And probably because I love her. You got to, she gave birth. What am I supposed to say? Right. Yeah, I'll help you out, Mom. And then I realized, man, I don't ever sleep. I should do that sometimes. But yeah, hit the beat battle Saturday night, and then Sunday I was in bed all day wrecked. I'm like, damn, this is the first time I've been hungover by not drinking. I also should avoid this feeling. So I found my limit, and I gotta work under that.
Wow. Well, yeah, your body will definitely tell you when it needs rest. It'll definitely shut down on you. But I mean, hey man, you're putting in the grind. And I'm sure you love it. You may not feel the best, but I'm sure you're loving the results from it.
That's the funny thing with it, man. Like, yeah, that one day I really did feel bad. Sunday, I was wrecked.
Not bad.
But it's a good excuse to Netflix binge. I saw some shows and some movies I've been meaning to check out. So, I'm grateful. Still grateful. I'm grateful to see where my limit is. But like, even when I'm too tired in the morning, or even when I'm a little, feeling a little under the weather because I know I didn't sleep enough, or I forgot a meal, and all that, that discomfort that exists is not nearly as uncomfortable as going to bed at the end of another day where I didn't do anything that was actually important to me because I spent all my time working for a job that wasn't benefiting my dreams. And I spent all day doing things for other people that didn't fulfill my spirit. So like, there's levels to discomfort, and it's much more uncomfortable to live in an authentic life than it is to be tired while living an authentic life.
No doubt about that, man. I mean, once again, spitting gems right there, man. I mean, that is so freaking true. You know, I mean, nights when you go to bed and you're dissatisfied because you're not living your dream, man, I mean, that kills. And then it becomes consecutive nights. You know, it definitely will kill your soul and inside of you, man. And that's no fun. You don't want to do that, man, at all. So thank you for
Amen.
Thank you, man, for everything that you just mentioned, man. Beat grinders, I hope that you guys are listening. The words that Trap Jesus is saying is definitely resonating with me. I know a lot of times I always have an excuse of, you know, this podcast gets in the way of me making music.
And, you know, and this podcast is, you know, it's all related. You know, it's all the same grind. Like,
Right.
you know, whether I'm staying up super late to actually write a song, or if I'm staying up super late to tweak the mix, or I'm staying up super late to make sure that the promo push and all the email I got to send out, whatever it is, you know, it's all this. It's all me building the brand that is creating the company that I want to have the rest of my life.
For sure. That's dope, man. Yeah, because someone told me something is better than nothing as long as you're giving full effort while you're doing that something. So,
amen.
That's what's up.
One of my biggest mentors at Producer Dojo, a guy named Spiderhound, super dope DJ, super dope teacher. What he just told me that he's telling his new students is getting them on the 10 minutes a day challenge. You tell yourself every single day, no matter what, I have to spend 10 minutes on music.
Nice.
So open up your DAW, set a 10-minute timer. If you really want to and you really have to, you can shut off your DAW after 10 minutes, hit save and leave.
Right. Nice.
But odds are, once you get going, doing the thing you want to do, you're not going to want to stop after 10 minutes, and you have a great session. But the fact that you just made yourself show up to something very, very achievable made all the difference.
Yep, that's so true, man. That's what's up. I told myself yesterday too. I was like, okay, I'm gonna make a quick beat really quick, and I end up spending 2.5 hours in here. So yeah, that does work for sure, man.
Yeah. Once you start.
Yep. All right, man. Well, this next portion of the interview, man, we like to call In the Studio. I can't see your studio right now. I would love to be in there making beats with you, writing songs, doing whatever, man. But at the moment, I can't. Eventually, maybe I will. But
hell
now,
yeah, you're invited. When you're up in Seattle, come through. Let's jam.
Yeah, let's do it, man. But for right now, we got this portion where we get to find out what you do in the studio, how you do it, and what you do it with. So, you down? You ready?
Heck yeah.
All right, man. Well, I want to know, man, or what do you do when you first start crafting beats? Do you have a set ritual or anything? Do you turn off the lights, turn down the lights? Obviously, it's not having a drink. What do you do when you start making beats?
Man, tell you what, I used to have a very different one, and I want to just like real quick touch on that. I used to start every session. I kind of took pride in the fact that, you know, I didn't have any templates or presets, and I'd always start off like finding each sound that I wanted to use. But it didn't dawn on me till a lot later, until I had better mentors, that was taking up all my time. Right, yep. I need to spend my time writing the music, not searching for sounds. Right. So I learned in the dojo to separate these sessions. So now what I do is, before, you know, about once a month, I come up with a new like beat making template. I find maybe 5 or 6 dope 808 patches that I like. I drop them in there. And then like a whole bunch of drum kits with various things, like some with kicks and snares, some with a bunch of hi-hats and shakers, some with weird percussion sounds that are super like stand out, you know, like somebody banging on a metal water bottle, or, you know, dropping a sword on the floor or something, you know, like some random somethings that are like, oh, that's something you don't hear every day. So like, and then I get a whole bunch of instrument patches, some that are good for chords, some that are good for melodies, and way more than I would need, but just a bunch of songs that I've already checked out, sounds that I've checked out and I know are dope. And I'll hit save, and then I've just saved myself like 30 minutes to an hour at the beginning of every single beat that I make with this. Nice. So then the next day, or later that day, or any day in the future, I just open up one of these templates and just pick which one I want. Oh, that one from February was dope. Let me open that one again. I haven't touched that in a while. It's got some great future bass chords in it. It's got some really cool electro bass. It's got some dope drums. Like, it's got great tom fills, you know, like I just get in there and then just start moving. And another thing is what I learned in the dojo is time yourself. You will take as long to do something as you give yourself.
Right. Yep.
If you give yourself all day to come up with the drum loop, you will.
Yeah.
If you give yourself 5 minutes to come up with the drum loop, you will.
You'll get it in those 5 minutes. Yep.
Yeah, and whatever you have will be down, and then you just move on. Like, I set up a workout timer on Ilgate's recommendation. I got a little workout timer. You just put in your workout, and it beeps at you and tells you what the next workout is. Now do sit-ups. Now do push-ups.
Right.
Now make melodies. Now make bass lines.
Dope.
Now make drums. Now make the drums for the chorus or the drop. Like.
Wow.
And it just beeps, idea. And then it's in like 30 minutes, you have all of your loops built. And then you can save that session. You can do a few of these. Some will come out on top. Like, yeah, that was kind of whack. I don't need to go back to that.
Right.
But this one, out of those 5 I did, that one, I'm going to spend all weekend working on that one.
Nice. I love that, man. That's a great idea. Wow. That's wow. I just love how you're implementing like the discipline in your beat making, man, in your production. That's so dope, man. I've never heard of that.
Yeah, man.
Setting a timer.
And yeah, and then once you have all your loops, right, you arrange your track, you copy out that super loop and then start deleting stuff, right? And you get your arrangement, and then I'll bounce the stems of that into a new session where, I realized about 4 months ago that every single song I mixed, I did all the same side chaining, all the same bussing, all the same. I put on all the same send effects.
Right.
And then I realized, wow, I just saved myself 30 minutes every beat by making the beat template. Let me just save myself 30 minutes every mix by making a mix template.
Nice.
So I took the last song I had made that I really liked the mix on, and I saved it as a new version, and I deleted all of the instruments, all of the audio.
Right.
I just left the whole bus system with all of that routing in place.
Dope. Nice, man.
And now I just take my loops and I drag and drop them into that session. And then I'm like, all right, these are subs, they go in the sub bus. These are drums, they go in the drum bus. These are percussions, they go in the percussion bus, and the instruments and the vocals and everything just drops into the right bus. And then I just have to level it in. And like half of the mix process is actually, like half of the time it takes me to mix a song is already done by the time I get the levels up.
All you have to do, is just adjust it from there.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And then it's just, I think that snare needs, a little more high end. And I think those hi-hats need a little less reverb. And then, save me a lot of time. And then I have a mastering template set up too with my whole signal chain for that. And I bounce out the 2-track, open up a new session, and drop it into there again. Instead of having to go get my whole signal chain put together every time, it's waiting there for me.
Dope, man. That's
so
awesome.
Where, as we have so much choice as producers where we want to spend our time.
Yep.
Where, beat grinders, where do you want to spend your time?
Damn, man. Wow. Yeah. I mean, we all got 24 hours, and we're all trying to figure out how to best use those 24 hours. And I think that you just gave us a bunch of ideas on how we can use it to the best of our ability, man. And I appreciate that. I'm definitely going to implement some of these ideas into what I'm doing. Beat grinders, I hope that you guys do the same thing. I hope you guys are listening up. So thank you, Trap Jesus.
Amen.
Really appreciate that, man.
And all this stuff I learned like watching those weekly download videos. So for real, go sign up for the weekly download.
Damn. Okay. Yeah, I definitely.
The weeklydownload.com takes you right there too. Actually, I think.
I definitely feel like the stuff that you're spitting, and yeah, I mean, if it's in the weekly downloads, man, I definitely feel like it can take anyone's productions to the next level, man. And I'm definitely interested now. So that's what's up. All right, man. Well,
and I don't use Ableton. I'm a Reason head.
Right.
I'm 100% in Reason right now, But, even watching somebody else work in Ableton, it's mostly about watching them do the kind of production tricks they're doing.
Right.
And then you just look, oh, well, I don't have that delay, but I can use my delay to do that.
Right, exactly. Because, I mean, they're all the same they're all the same thing. It's just different. It's formatted different, pretty much. I mean, but each DAW does almost the same thing. So.
Yeah, I think each DAW pretty much has like a 90% overlap, and then 10% of things that are like, wow, that's incredible, or wow, how don't they have that
yet? Yeah. Right. Okay, man. Well, I want to know, what's a not so secret weapon that you got up in that studio?
Not so secret weapon, man. Whew.
I know you got a bunch of. I'm sure you got a bunch of them, but if you could just tell us one that you don't mind sharing.
Man, collect good sounds, man. Really, when it comes down to it, whatever they are and whatever you feel comfortable with. If you love chopping samples, make sure you have really dope, hopefully royalty-free or produced by your homie who will clear it for you samples.
Nice. Okay.
And there's kind of no excuse these days. There's Splice and everything, but also, be careful on Splice, because everybody has that loop now. If you just put it in your track as is, I have homies that have just dropped a loop from Splice in their track, and by the time they upload it to YouTube, somebody else already has put it in Content ID, and YouTube thinks that they own that Splice. They don't, the algorithm doesn't know the difference, and then you got to go through the rigmarole of proving that you got that loop on Splice, and they did too.
Wow, that's
crazy.
So,
moral of the story is flip shit.
Yeah.
Change the key, reverse it, chop it.
Man, here's a story. I made the intro song for my mom's podcast. She has a podcast, and the loops that I used from Splice, I've already heard that like on 5 commercials. So I mean, I just feel so unoriginal by doing that, and it makes me kind of question whether I should be using Splice like that. Like you said, you just have to be a little innovative with it. Like you said, reverse that shit, chop it up, something, but maybe not just use it as is,
Yeah, I mean, and so it depends what it is. Like, is it a really dope kick sample that just drops right into your mix in the right note perfectly?
Right.
By the way, tune your drums. Everybody tune your drums to your song. I'm tired of hearing untuned drums and songs. If you're trying to EQ it and EQ it and EQ it and it still doesn't sound right, A, either switch it, or B, just change the pitch.
Nice.
Try changing the pitch of your drums until it feels right in your song. You're like, oh, it was just the wrong note.
Right. Nice. Okay.
But yeah, like I said, if it's a kick sample, you don't got to change it. If it's a whole melody loop, it's like, I mean, everybody's got access to it, you know?
For sure,
just remember that.
Yeah, no doubt. All right, man. Well, I want to know, what all do you have in your studio? What equipment? What's all in your toolbox these days?
All right, well, check it out. I produce on PC and I produce on Reason, so I'm a rebel in both realms. But man, I'm on a Lenovo computer. It's a laptop. It's got an i7 and 16 gigs of RAM, because I'm not about to have RAM be the reason my stuff doesn't work.
Nice, yeah.
I'm actually using Propellerhead's own balance interface that they made in like 2013 and 2014 only, and then realized there weren't enough people using Reason to buy this.
Yeah, I was going to say, I've never even heard of it, but I mean, I guess I don't have
most
Reason,
people didn't.
So. Wow.
I mean, most people with Reason haven't even heard of it, tell you the truth. Man, I just happened to be at South by Southwest when they were debuting it at the Gear Expo, and walked by the Propellerhead table and flipped out. Decided I was going to buy one.
Nice.
I was like, where am I going to get $400? Wait, I spent that at the bar this week. No, I can do that.
Right.
Yeah,
Wow.
man. That's another, in a nutshell, another great lesson to always remember, man. Like that Robert Kiyosaki said in Rich Dad Poor Dad, never say I can't afford it. Ask, how can I afford it? Make up a plan and then decide if that plan is worth implementing in your life. Maybe I didn't need it. Maybe $400 was too much for me at the time. But when I looked at it real quick, I realized I could definitely find $400 in the next few months if I just made some choices.
Right.
That led to that.
Nice, man.
But yeah, so rocking that interface still. It's been going strong since 2013. I've got a MIDI Fighter 3D which is a 16 drum pad instrument that is made out of arcade buttons that light up different colors.
Oh shit!
That thing is super fun to drum on. I actually got that when I joined the Producer Dojo. That was one of the sign up bonuses.
Dope.
Like, sign up now. We actually have this many MIDI fighters for the next this many people who join.
Damn.
So shout outs to DJ Tech Tools and Producer Dojo for this MIDI fighter. I love it.
Okay.
I've got a micro Korg sitting here
Ooh.
that a guy was dismantling his home studio and moving into a condo and selling his stuff for too cheap. So I bought this micro Korg and a pair of M-Audio BX5 monitors for I think $125 for all three.
Wow.
And it came with some like wall mounted speaker stands that I'm using for the same speakers. So
wow. Yeah, he really was trying to get rid of that ish. That's crazy.
Yeah, man. Yeah, he had been running that studio for like 30 years. He was, he's getting older. His daughter was in college. He was like, yeah, man, I'm kind of done running a punk rock studio out of my basement.
Like, I will take this.
Help me get rid of this stuff. I'm like, I am not done running a studio out of my basement. I'm just getting started, buddy.
Right, yeah. That's awesome.
And then, man, probably my most used piece of equipment in here is my Akai MPK Mini Mark II.
Nice.
I love this thing. It's a little 25 key, 8 pad, 8 knob with a cool little joystick for the pitch bend and mod wheel, so you can make some really cool, weird stuff happen with it.
Nice.
And that thing, I got a little case on Amazon with it. It was only $100. I got a little case on Amazon for like 15, and it fits inside my backpack and goes with me everywhere I go.
Dope.
Everywhere I travel, I fly it with that little guy.
Dope, man. That's awesome.
And then I've actually got some full-size keyboards too, or like I've got 188 key and 149 key, and they're currently leaning in the corner covered in dust. I can't really play that well with two hands anyways, to be honest. I can play with each hand.
Right.
I can play a melody or a chord progression with one hand at a time. If I'm trying to do it both at the same time, it's like, man, you know what? I'm not the keyboardist. I'm just the composer, producer. I can afford to do 2 takes.
There you go, man. All right. Well, that's what's up. So, do you have do you know of piano players that play on your stuff at all, or keyboardists?
Oh yeah, I've definitely had some great keyboardists in here. A lot of my co-producers that I've had through. My guy, I mentioned him earlier, D. Lyle, incredible artist, songwriter, singer. But turns out he's also really dope on the keys. And one day he came over and we just like started like 5 beats or 4 beats or something, which is him on keys. I'd pick a couple of patches. He'd lay down some cool chord progressions and melodies, and then we'd move on. Kind of forgot about him for a few months, and then found that folder, and like in 2 days turned all of them into full beats.
Nice.
A couple of which have already been used. So that's cool. Like, man, get out there and collab with people. Figure out, who does what you don't do, and get in the same room.
Nice.
Get some synergy going.
Yep, for sure, man. Well, that's what's up, man. Well, Beat Grinders, if anything that Trap Jesus mentioned, if any of it perked your interest, if you want to learn more about any of that equipment, that hardware, just go on Beats Grinding Life under Trap Jesus' show notes, and I'll provide links for everything that he just mentioned.
Oh, that's dope, man. You provide the full service.
I try, man.
He's going above and beyond. Applaud Siren, guys. I'm going to clap right now.
Thank you, man. Thanks. All right, man. Well, this next portion of the interview is called In the Mix. We're just going to speed things up a little bit. It's kind of like rapid fire. I'm going to ask you some quick questions. You respond back with a quick answer. But if you need to take your time, much appreciated. We appreciate you going all out for Beats Grinding Life. So I want to know, man, do you prefer using beats with samples or without samples?
Currently without samples.
Okay.
But I love using samples and doing remixes and stuff also. But I gotta say, right now, I'm really preferring composing my own loops.
Dope. Nice. Okay. What's your opinion on selling at least some beats online?
If that's your grind, go get that money. There's a lot of it out there, especially if you're coming up and, you just want to start making this a side income, go for it. But really think about what you want to do with your brand. Is that your move? For me, it hadn't been in the past. But now I'm at a place where I'm actually going to start coming out with beat tapes. At a certain point, I didn't have that many instrumentals, and I wanted to get myself like a professional catalog built up before I started basically giving them away online, because that's what it feels like. You know, when I can sit down with an artist and craft a track that I'm really proud of and have my hands on it, even if I get paid $0 up front for that, like even if that were the case, like it still feels better than just sometimes giving away the beat to anybody. Right. But on the other hand, I've had some of these beats that I really cared about, you know, a year and a half ago when I made them, that just haven't been picked up yet, you know, in my circle of artists that are looking at my beats. They liked it, but they couldn't write to it. So, all right, I'm gonna start coming out with beat tapes, do little beat EPs. Here's 5 that I really think are dope, that are now out there, and I'm gonna start putting those up for releasing pretty soon. So, long story short, get your money.
Nice, man. All right, well, what's a plugin that you think every producer should have in their arsenal? Plugin or VST?
Whew, man. Let's see. Man, shit. Man, probably. I'm actually gonna say Serum, man. I just finally bought it. I've been meaning to have it, and like literally, like the first patch I made from scratch on it without really even 100% knowing what I was doing was like a lot doper than the stuff I was crafting and the VSTs I was trying to let replace it. So go get Serum, guys. Quit fucking around.
Yeah, I probably need to do the same thing. All right, what's a book that you think every producer should read? And it doesn't have to be a book about music, but it can be.
Man, I know so many good books, but man, for art specific, man, The War of Art.
Nice.
And that actually just came out of nowhere. Yeah, I had 2 others that were about to pop in instead of it, and then you just busted through. Get him, Steven. Because that really explains the concept so well of like what resistance is and why it exists and how we experience it. And his whole section about what it means to go pro. You know, it's like we said earlier, if you show up every day, even if it's just for 10 minutes, you still showed up every day. You built that momentum, and that's what it's about. You know, the book is all based around quotes. You know, it's like it'll have a quote of somebody's and then like a 2-page explanation of the concept that's bringing up for him. Dope. And this one was great. They asked some famous writer, you know, 60, 70 years ago, they're like, oh, do you write on a schedule or only when you're inspired? And his reply is priceless. He says, oh, I write only when I'm inspired. Lucky for me, that's every day at 9 a.m.
I love that. Nice. That's what's up. Oh, man.
So show up.
Yep, just show up and you will get inspired. It doesn't, and I think Decap was saying the same thing. He said he makes his best beats when he doesn't feel like making beats, but it's just the fact that he just showed up, got on the, you know, whatever he's using. I think he's using Ableton. He got on Ableton, then he just started creating, whether he felt like it or not, you know. And he,
amen. Yeah, he's in Ableton.
Yeah, so.
Yeah, man, Decap is dope. Shouts out to Decap, man.
Yeah,
Somebody's done so much for producers lately, man. Like just getting these amazing drums out that are exactly what so many of us need. I use his stuff heavily.
Yeah,
go get drums and knock.
Same here. All right, man. Well, is there an internet resource that you use that you think every producer could benefit from? And when I say internet resource, I mean a website or a mobile app. Website like iStandard.com or a mobile app like Google Calendars.
Oh shoot, man. Well, you just hit on a couple that I use a ton. I think I've shouted out Producer Dojo on a weekly download plenty. If you don't know, you don't know. But yeah, dude, iStandard, you already mentioned it. I've gotten so much growth, so many connections, so much of my, not just my network, but like my literal like group of my best friends in the world came through going to these iStandard events. So shout outs to everybody over there, you know, especially Jay Hatch and Don DiNapoli and Sis that are doing so much to build a producer community and build a platform for us to be able to get together, meet our peers, and then also meet our idols. You get to be in the same room as people that have made your favorite records. It's crazy.
Yep. Where else can you get that?
Yeah, I mean, You know, where else are you eating a sandwich next to S1 and Ken Lewis and Cardiac and Focus? Like,
right. Oh,
like
damn.
I legit ate a hamburger with Focus in Deep Ellum, Dallas, Texas. Like,
damn. That's dope, man. That's a dream.
Yeah,
that's
it's crazy.
That's become a reality.
Dude, you know, like, because of iStandard, I'm Trap Jesus.
Right. That's
I
true.
won. I got my name, and then the next day, Cardiac puts that on his Snapchat, and then 6 months later, I'm in Dallas, and he's like, "Dude, how are you not like utilizing this? Do it."
Wow.
Like,
wow.
Without iStandard, none of that happens, and I'm not talking to you right now.
Yeah, that's crazy, man. That's nuts, man. Shout out iStandard. I love the brand. I love all the people in iStandard, man, and everything that they've done for the producer community. I mean, some of our favorite producers, you know, that have platinum records, they came through iStandard. You know, like
Amen.
Cardiac, S1, and it continues, you know, and now we got people like Trap Jesus that have gone through iStandard and are on their way to making big things happen. So that's what's up, man.
God willing.
All right, man. Well, hey, I gotta ask you, man. I saw that the in studio session was coming up. The iStandard in studio in Seattle. I thought about going to that. Obviously it's worth it, man, but I just wanted to get your input on it. Have you done any of those in studio sessions?
Tell you what, I have all the ones that have been Seattle, I have had a hand in running. Because when I started coming up in the iStandard, the first time I saw an iStandard event was 2013 when I was at ASCAP Expo. Mm-hmm. And then I went to their year-end event, Beast of the Beats in New York that same year. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't until the next spring when I came back to Seattle that I actually entered myself in one of the battles. And at that time, they were doing them at Nectar Lounge, and then at Studio 7 at like a venue, you know, like, so it's like everybody are up on stage, everybody play your beats for everybody. Right. But then honestly, I really love this in studio setup because it's so real. Like, you know, when you get a panel of judges and they're sitting across the stage, you never really get to talk to them except to like, they talk at you and then you shake their hand and you leave, right? Which is incredible. They just, you know, your idol just got to hear your music and give you advice. Right. But the in studio takes it to another level. Instead of being in a venue, it's literally at a studio. This spot we use in Seattle is dope. Studio Sage in Edmonds. Tim Sage runs it. Great dude. Great space. There's a big live room that everybody gets to network in. They got speakers in there, so they're bumping your music for everybody. Damn. But when you're playing your 5 beats, your 5 minutes of music, you are sitting in the control room face to face with that big producer. Nice. And they are giving you direct, you know, eye contact, feedback. You get to ask them questions, you know. Yeah, that, you know, you play the music, you know, they might make a couple comments during it. They'll give you a bunch of feedback after, give you a chance to ask questions, exchange contact if they want to, you know, follow them on the gram and all that, like. And then, you know, it's like, where else do you get that? You know, like, iStandard's flying, you know, Grammy winners and nominees and people with plaques and people. I mean, I got to smoke a blunt with Black Metaphor in Edmonds, Washington. You know, like, you know, so you produced Idols Become Rivals. That's lit, bro. And he's telling me about his uncle's basketball league that he runs for the youth in somewhere on the east side out here, like Bellevue or Kirkland or somewhere. But it's like, man, it's like dope. It's like to sit with somebody as two humans as opposed to like some idol on Twitter. Right. That's dope, man. Well, it sounds like it's something that I must do. It sounds like something I have to do. So yeah, I recommend it to everybody. Plus, you know, that's the first step in getting into the iStandard communities. Come to the local show, meet your local community. Once you've come up through those ranks and you get to that top 3 slot, then you're eligible to go to the national show. That year-end event that's called Beast of the Beats this year in Miami, which is gonna be extra lit. As if Atlanta the last few years wasn't lit enough. Now we're going to Miami.
Jeez, man. Beast on the beach,
so
right?
you know I'm there. I already put my down payment on being in that one.
Nice.
Because like I said, I'm the Seattle representative for iStandard, so I help put on the Seattle shows now. You know, I was in enough, and you know, basically got to the point where I was in the national show. So it's like, well, we want new blood in, you know, so we don't want the same guys coming and just like winning the shit every single time so that nobody else gets to go. It's not that. It's not the point, you know.
Yeah.
It's not the point of it. It's to move up in the ranks. So at a certain point, once people have like won enough times, Jay Hatch or Don will be like, "Hey, yo, bro, love you. Stop competing in this one. This isn't where you grow. Come to nationals, man. Come to nationals."
Yeah, they actually told me that for I wanted to compete here in Portland. They're like, no, you can showcase your music, but you can't compete. So,
and that's dope, right? And they'll still give you the platform, right? But it's like, yo, check it out. We got other people that need the opportunity that you already had. Yep. So here's the next one.
Yep. Exactly.
And is actually a ladder. And man, speaking of iStandard, they're coming up with some new stuff. It's not, you know, public yet, but there's going to be some new events that make it even more worth it than it's already been to be a part of that community. Wow. They're thinking next level, and I really appreciate those guys for it. I'm super glad to be a part of this movement and to be able to help out.
Yeah, man, they're always expanding. That's why I love them, man. That's what's up, man. Well,
especially, have you heard of the I Write? Have you heard of I Write?
Yeah, I have heard of I Write.
Dude, now they got the Songwriter competition.
Yep.
So now they've got a whole pool of dope ass songwriters and a whole pool of dope ass producers.
Right.
And they're linking them up.
You know, it's like that's nuts.
Now we got the records to actually pitch, because that's what labels want to hear. That, you know, having beats is dope, but it's so much easier for them to just be like, oh, this record completely works. I can just put my artist there.
Right. That's what and I'm sure you know Reezy Tunes.
Reezy Tunes, I love Reezy. He's another Reason head. Big ups to Reezy.
That's right. Yeah, he was like, he said he doesn't make beats anymore. Beats are dead. Nobody wants to hear beats. If he's sending something out, it's gonna be a song. You know.
Amen.
I definitely hear that, man. I mean.
Amen. I heard the same thing from my guy Luca, who he was formerly in Sexy Drops. But this guy's super dope. He works
with. What do you mean
formerly?
They're not together anymore?
I don't know if they're still doing it. I know they're still boys, but I don't know if that's just like, if Sexy Drops is their move, you know, like at this point. But regardless of any of that, don't quote me on that. But, you know, big ups to Luca and Analogic. They're both super dope. But when I was talking to Luca, he said the same shit to me. He said, you know, it's like making beats is hustling backwards, dude. Like, there's songwriters out here. Just like, make ideas, send them to songwriters. If it doesn't get written to, quit bothering with it.
Wow. Yep. Yeah, that's
you know, he really moved to LA and did that grind, you know, man. He was hustling extra hard, sacrificing extra hard. He really saw it firsthand, you know, saw people making moves and saw people not making moves, and chose the right route, because he just got a good, you know, a good opportunity not handed to him. He just earned a really good opportunity to actually be employed in music. I'm not 100% sure exactly what it is, but big props to him for leveling up.
That's what's up, man. But yeah, all right, man. Well, I want you to tell me about your first placement that you ever had, and because there's producers out here that are searching for a placement and they just want to know that feeling, what it felt like, and because maybe that can inspire them to get that first placement. So what was it for you?
I'll tell you what, I don't have any major placements, so I'll tell you when I get one, I'll come back on the show and let you know. But my first indie placement, man, shout out to Bingx. He came over to my spot, and I might have even said this earlier, but he came over and wanted some beats. You know, we were just homies. We had done a couple shows together. We had, you know, like done a couple like mixtape cuts together where we did like a remix of like The Motto or some shit, you know, like, you know, just some fun rapper stuff. And then he came over, you know, you got beats, right, man? I really want to hear your beats. And he came over and he found one that he loved.
Nice.
And he's like, I think I want this. And you know, at the time, I think I told him I wanted like $200 for it, and he was like, "Yo, that's fine, that's perfect, bro."
Dope.
But I told him I wanted to retain my rights as a composer and still have my ASCAP registration. I wasn't selling him this as a work for hire, this was an advance on royalties.
Nice.
And he respected that too. And that's a really important distinction, folks. If you sell the rights to the musical works completely as a work for hire, you don't own any of that anymore. If they go make money, that's their money.
Right. Wow.
And so, you know, he's my homie. We talked about it and we did the ASCAP registration, and it actually did really well on YouTube, and it started taking off on Spotify. And a couple of years later, he re-released it on his next album. It was a single, and then it became part of the album that he came out with a couple years later. And to this day, I mean, that thing is still making me like probably $60 a year just from the ASCAP side of things.
That's dope.
Just from the performance. So it's like, I mean, and that's an indie placement, but like still, like out of those tiny little slivers of royalties that come off of streaming, like that's still adding up. And that's just one song that I did for a homie as an afterthought 5 years ago.
Still making $60 a year, man. That's passive income, man. That's for something that you did a while ago. That's dope, man.
And that's the dream. You add a bunch of those up, and then you get a decent little check on a quarterly basis. Mm-hmm. And then you start to add that up with your ad rev money and your sound exchange money, et cetera, et cetera. You know, make sure you educate yourself on the business side of the music business, because there's a bunch of convoluted ways to get the money that will hopefully be simplified by the Music Modernization Act. But learn. People say, I'm in the music business, but they don't know where to get the check. Right. It's not a very good business move.
No, it's not. It's not. All right, man. Well, thank you for that story, man. You know, I mean, that definitely motivated me, and I'm sure it motivated a bunch of other people to go out and get that first placement. So, all right, man. Well, what's your favorite song that you ever produced?
Man, I always hope it's the latest one, you know, but
yeah, right.
I mean, honestly, right now, I really like. I'll say the ones I've released. Out of the ones I released, this one I released about a month or so ago, called "Give Thanks to Jah." It's called "Thanks to Jah." It's on my SoundCloud right now, and it's on the Producer Dojo Jamaica. It's basically an ode to Jamaican music mixtape where we all gave that Jamaican flavor. So.
That's dope.
And I got to work with one of my Producer Dojo buddies called Sixth Street. He's a super talented, EDM, future bassy. Oh man, his music's got all the feels. But he played some dope instrumentation on this. I actually brought back out my vocal skills for this one and sang on the track.
Okay.
And so. Right now, like as far as stuff I've released that I love the way it sounds and feels, this is my favorite track right now. That's out.
Well, Beat Grinders, you guys go on SoundCloud, go check that out. Put a like on it and definitely leave a comment and let Trap Jesus know what you guys felt about that song. So
yeah, thanks guys.
Yeah. All right, man. Well, what's an album besides one that you worked on that you think every producer should listen to, and why?
Oh man. I think you should go back and listen to some old school UGK.
Ooh, what?
And listen to what Pimp C was doing in the mid to late 90s, even the early 90s. Man, go check out like Hella Tight.
Nice.
Cause those are, man, I don't even know. I can't. I'm slipping on the album names, but like those early albums, man, like that's the birth of trap music.
Right.
That's the birth of trap music. Pimp C doesn't get enough credit. I don't think Houston gets enough credit. But man, like that early Rap-A-Lot stuff, and especially Pimp C's production on those UGK records are incredible, man. And it's like the earliest, uses of like slowing the BPM down to speed it back up, or speeding it up to slow it down. I mean, going up to the 140 BPMs on the drum machine so you can do a slow beat with the fast hats. That's the way they could get those 30-second note hats in there, was by speeding the shit up to slow it down. And then, the way he sampled shit was so 90s, but so different. Right. Man, dude, it's incredible, man. Go study Pimp C.
Dope. Well, I will provide a couple of those albums on the Beats Grind and Life website under Trap Jesus' show notes. I'm definitely gonna go back and listen and study some of those albums, because I just haven't really been up on UGK like that. But a lot of producers definitely recommend Pimp C. Like the rest of the world, you know, I'm sleeping on Pimp C's production skills. So
yeah, right. He was such a dope rapper. We remember him for that. But then it turns out he also made tons of those beats, man. And for other people on Rap A Lot too. One of my favorite examples is the Big Mike song "Having Things." It was on the Dangerous Minds soundtrack that Gangsta's Paradise was on. That was a huge album for me growing up, man. I love that movie and the album, that Coolio track. But that Big Mike song, "Having Things," that Pimp C beat is still one of the dopest beats out to me.
Damn, I'm gonna have to check that out. I remember Big Mike from back in the day too. So
yeah.
Okay. All right, man. Well, I'm gonna have you put your thinking cap on. I know it's already on, but I don't even know why I said that. But we're just gonna do a deep dive here, man, and I'm gonna ask you some really weird questions, but it's gonna be fun, man. So I want to know, man. I want you to imagine that you had a pick in one hand and a hammer in the other. I'm taking you to Mount Rushmore, and we're gonna carve 4 new faces in Mount Rushmore, and they're gonna be faces of producers. What producers are going up on your Mount Rushmore?
Man, I'm gonna probably put Dr. Dre with Timbaland, and Pharrell, and Pimp C.
Dope. Usual suspects, except for Pimp C.
Yeah, man.
Dr. Dre, Timbaland, Pharrell are always mentioned on here. But like I said,
and, you know, I mean, I got so many others that I love, but as far as was probably like influenced the sound of my hip hop life for most of my beat life. Now I'm getting deep into this weird EDM stuff, and I'm loving it. But always bringing the hip hop with me, so that's my
nice, man. Well, that's what's up, man. Like I said, most of the world, including myself, sleep on Pimp C's abilities, production abilities, and so. But for you to put him up there on your Mount Rushmore, man, it just means I definitely I have to check him out. So
man, I've been thinking about it. I've been thinking about this a lot lately, so thanks for the opportunity to shout this out to you and some more producers, man, because you know, your whole audience, man. I'm glad to be able to shout out one of my heroes like that.
That's dope, man. That's dope. All right, man. Well, I want you to imagine, we're still in imaginative mode, man. I want you to imagine that you just woke up from a bomb-ass dream, and in that dream, you had the perfect studio session. What's the perfect studio session? It's you, Trap Jesus, in there along with one artist, one co-producer, one engineer, and one random person. Who are those 4 people that make up your perfect studio session?
Man, man, I'm gonna have to go around about on this, because man, I want to say, like, I want to leave this blank, man, because I want to let the universe decide that for me. You know, you know, there's a lot of people I would love to get in with, but I found that when I focus too hard on the who and the what of the situation, then the how doesn't come along.
Right.
Whereas if I just focus on the work and being me and being ready, then the opportunities just show up. And it wasn't what I thought it was going to be, or it wouldn't have been what I imagined. But thank God I didn't get it in my head that it had to be some way, because there I am.
So you're just
on the other hand, man, whew, I could say some shit. There's so many artists I would love to work with, man. Everybody's so dope. Man, there's so many good artists out these days, man. Like, man, a session off the top, man. Get Chance the Rapper and S1 with me. So I think that would be a banana session, man.
Yeah, right. Wow, man. That's yeah, I can't imagine those 2 along with yourself in there, man. But that's crazy. But I like that answer, man. I've never heard that answer before, but I really do genuinely love that answer. It's pretty much just put my head down, not worry about what's going to happen. You know, you can't worry about the past or the future. All you can do is worry about the present. So put your head down, work on that, and then whatever happens. And then in hindsight, we'll find out what the perfect studio session was. You know?
Yeah.
So I love that answer,
and
man.
I'm currently on my 3rd read through of Be Here Now. And turns out that's the main message of the book. Be
dope,
here now.
Right.
Be present, because it's the only thing that ever existed. It's the only thing. The past and the future are constructs of our imagination, to deal with the change in the present.
Right. Damn.
But really, it's always right now, and it always has been.
That's awesome, man. That's true. Live in the moment. So be here now. Who wrote that book?
Yeah. Ram Dass, man, he's a super dope dude. I'll probably do an injustice by trying to describe him as a person, but but he's a Western dude, like an American dude who in the 60s, I think, maybe even a little earlier, he's like one of those first dudes to really go to India and really understand kind of their spiritual trip over there.
Okay.
And be able to combine that with like the 60s psychedelic understanding that was happening over here, and was one of those people that really bridged the gap. Dope. And is the reason that Eastern philosophy had such a big not resurgence, but kind of it jumped on the scene so hard in the 60s, because of, kind of like people like him going over there is kind of why like the Beatles went over there, like they were kind of on their Ram Dass trip at that point.
Right, nice. Okay, I'm gonna have to check that out. Beat Grinders, you guys check that out if you get the opportunity to as well. So, all right,
yeah, that and the 4 Agreements are a couple of the simplest books that have changed my life.
Yeah, the 4 Agreements, definitely. Thank you for mentioning that. That's probably up there as far as one of my favorite books, because like you said, it's so simple. It's such a short, easy read, but there's just so much value packed in that, man. That's
yeah, man.
Wow. Man.
I can't recommend Don Miguel Ruiz enough to people. Go read the 4 Agreements. That'll change your life if you let it.
Yeah, no doubt, man. No doubt. So I got to get that book again. I'll let my brother borrow it, and I haven't seen it since. But anyway,
well,
all right.
Hey, man, it was a good investment. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Your brother, he's probably read it a couple of times now.
That's true. Yeah, and yeah, that's a perfect gift to give to someone too. So.
Yeah, right. Give a gift of a dope ass book.
All right, man. Well, I want to know, man. We're still on the weird questions, man. But I want you to imagine that you just woke up on a planet identical to Earth, and after waking up, all you have is $1,000, and of course the knowledge that's in your head that you've gained over the years that you've been producing. What do you do in the next week to restart your career?
I mean, you can't really do none of this without a laptop.
Right. True.
And man, with the knowledge I got now, I mean, shoot. I'll probably do kind of what I'm doing now. I mean, I wouldn't have all the gear I have. I would make sure I could get a laptop and have enough for a Reason. So I'll probably have to go a little cheap on the laptop. Right. If I had a laptop and Reason with Reason stock sounds and my knowledge, I could definitely turn out enough work to sell some beats to upgrade my computer again.
Oh, nice. I love that answer, man. That's dope. Yeah, the reason why I asked this crazy question is because there's some producers out there that are, there's some people out there that are aspiring to be producers, and they may not have, as much, their budget may not be as large. So, you just telling what you would do may put people on the right path to starting their production career. So, and also there's people out there that have lost equipment, due to theft or something.
I got some buddies that got hit like that, man. It's a bummer.
Yeah, it is, man. So thank you for that answer, man. Maybe, hopefully that'll steer someone in the right direction. So
yeah, and I'd love to just put one more little period on the end of that sentence. Just like, man, sometimes a young producer will walk into my setup. It's not extravagant by any means. I don't have a lot of, analog gear or anything, But, some people walk in here and be really impressed. I'm like, damn, I wish I could have a spot like this. It's like, man, you totally can.
Right.
You just got to buy one piece at a time. You just decide that studio equipment is something that you're going to spend money on.
Yeah.
And set aside of each paycheck, even if it's $10 at a time, $5 at a time, is still setting something aside.
True. Yep. That's true.
And then figure out what you're prioritizing in your life. And if it's not your music career, ask yourself some real serious questions.
Yep. And then also, I mean, you didn't get all that stuff all at once. You know, so it's gonna
I've
take
been
time.
building this stuff for a long time,
Right.
upgrading one piece at a time. Like I said, you get an opportunity. Somebody's selling a keyboard and some speakers for too cheap. It's like, well, I can find $125 today for this opportunity.
Yeah.
I guess I'm not going drinking tonight, but I'll make beats tonight.
That's what's up. All right, man. Well, sounds like you've had to make that choice a lot, and that's probably why you stopped drinking. So.
Yeah, man.
All right, man. Well, I want to know, man, what does legacy mean to you? And when it's all said and done, when you have to wrap this music thing up, which I'm pretty sure you're not going to. So, but when it's all,
you know, wrapping it up is probably going to mean death or
exactly,
you know,
that, I was trying to
like
get, I was trying to get to that point without, you know.
Yeah.
Saying it, but
I'm not worried about being morbid.
None of us
part
should, man.
part of the deal.
Yeah,
I get this sweet meat suit to ride my soul around in for 80, 90, 100 years if I'm real lucky, and you know, and then I give it back.
Yeah.
I give it back to the mud.
Yep, so true, man. So, but when you do give it back, I want to know, what do you want your legacy to be with this music?
Man, my legacy's got to be with people, man. Because that's the only thing that matters, man. Like, if people remember my music, it's because my music touched them in a way that was meaningful to them. That I showed them some piece of human truth from myself that connected with them on a deep level.
Nice.
So if they never met me, but the sound that I left on this physical plane was able to help them in some way, that's dope. But on a simpler level, I just want to be here, and I want to be present for the people that are around me, and I want to impart positivity. And if I am lucky enough to gain wisdom, I want to share that wisdom with the people that want it. And I want to leave the legacy of having benefited communities that I'm a part of, and having been kind to people, even if I didn't have to be.
Wow, man. Well, that's dope, man. You are definitely living your legacy out, man. I mean, a lot of people look at like life as like, okay, I have a long time to accomplish my legacy or accomplish my goals, so maybe I shouldn't start on it now. But everything that you just mentioned, you're doing at this present moment, you know. And so if something were to happen,
and if it can't be done in the present moment, it doesn't exist.
It doesn't exist. Wow, we just talked about that. You're right, man. You're right.
Yeah, I mean, so that brings me to another great book called Deep Work. And in this book, it's a recent book. In this book, this dude does a big kind of study and a big diatribe against this culture that is always giving access to you. Like, your phone is always on you. Your boss always expects you to email them back right away, or at least you think they do. You always feel like you're constantly, we've got big open concept offices where anybody can just come over and see what you're doing.
Right.
And bother you at any point, which is great for communication and community, but really bad for getting shit done. Like I said, I get shit done in the middle of the night because nobody else here is awake.
Right.
And I have hours on hours of uninterrupted work time.
Nice.
So the book, the concept that he really spells out is there's a difference between lead goals and lag goals. Lag goal is something like, I want a Grammy, I want a platinum plaque.
Right.
That's a goal that if you do 1,000 steps right, you can maybe get there. Lead goals are things I can accomplish now to move towards the lag goals.
Right.
Like today, I can show up and mix this record. Today, I can have a podcast interview. Today, I can go and teach some students, give some feedback for tracks. And today, I can text a few homies that I haven't seen in a while and keep a relationship going.
Dope. Nice.
I don't know exactly what the benefit's going to be 10 years from these actions, but I know it's worth it, and I can do it now. I can accomplish it today.
Right.
That's what I focus on.
Nice, man. Nice. I love that, man. Keeping the lag goals definitely, in mind, always thinking about it. But the lead goals definitely need to be in the forefront, and those are the things that you definitely need to accomplish. That's what's up.
It's like sailing a ship across the ocean. You know, like you've got a constellation in the west that you're pointed at. Mm-hmm. But like on a day-to-day, you got to see what the wind's doing. You got to see what the sails are doing. What's the waves doing? Like, you know what a wind is, we got to go southwest today. And then tomorrow, oh shit, we got to go northwest.
Right.
And then we got to go straight north because the way these waves are coming will knock over the boat if you keep trying to go west.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really know that much about sailing, but enough to make a metaphor. But like, you might be turning all sorts of directions on a day-to-day, but as long as you keep those main goals in sight, you're cool. Just focus on what you can accomplish now.
Awesome, man. That's what's up, man. Well, I was gonna ask you. The next question was gonna be about advice, and you've given some great advice throughout this episode, throughout this interview, man. But I want to know, what is the greatest piece of advice that you received from someone, and then what's the best advice that you would give to the beat grinders listening today? And I know, like I said, you've given so many gems, but if you can just try to just give us the best advice.
I already got it. I already got it on deck, man. I was just thinking about this a couple of days ago too, so it's right on deck. Years ago, maybe 6-7 years ago, I was at a party where a bunch of Seattle hip-hop people that I really looked up to were at. I had just put out my new CD. I was, gearing up. I was looking at it like a networking event. I'm gonna go pass out my CD and my card and get numbers, and then I'm gonna work with some of these people. But it was more of a social event.
Right.
And a woman that I really look up to on the Seattle music scene, Melly Darby. She runs the Crocodile. She took me aside and said, "Hey, Luke, love you, man. See what you're doing. I see why you're doing it, but it's something you got to understand. This is a social night for these guys.
Right.
They are here hanging out with their friends. Yes, I know they make music together, but they do that because they're friends, and then they're hanging out, and then they make music.
Right.
You got to focus on figuring out who you're friends with out here, and then you'll make music with them. Don't come at it like so business and so cookie cutter. Make sure it's all about the personal." And something really clicked, and it was right. That was perfect timing for me on that, because that was right before I started traveling to go to music events like ASCAP Expo, South by Southwest, Beats of the Beats. And when I got out to all these places, I was able to see my past self making that same mistake in so many people. The folks going around just long enough to hand you a business card and move on to the next person.
Wow.
Or the folks that just hand you a stack of promo material that you have to throw away now.
Right.
And it's like, okay, that is not the way to be. So like that first ASCAP Expo, what I focused on was just, who am I really vibing? And it ended up being those people that, we met up and had a listening session in the homies hotel room, and then we all went and grabbed some drinks, and then the next day a bunch of us ran into each other and we got food, and then we started hanging out and singing, and then a few of us went and wrote a song. And it's like those people I'm still in touch with. Those people are my friends, and sometimes we collab on music. All the people that handed me their business cards, those business cards are still rubber banded together somewhere in my house. The whole stack. Who knows?
Right.
Who knows what happened to those business cards? But the people that I had a personal relationship with are still in my life. They're still on my phone. Sometimes I'll get a nice text from one of them just saying, "Hey, Luke, you're killing it, man. Keep pushing." Or, "Hey, I miss you, bro. Love you." Something, and sometimes I'll just randomly think of one of those folks and hit them up, see what they're up to, and sometimes it's perfect timing. Like, "Yo, dude, actually, I was just about to call you. I need something.
Right.
Like, I think you would be perfect for this project, and do you want to be a partner?" And it's like, hell yeah. So really find who you are friends with in this music industry. Find the people that you truly vibe with on a personal level and would hang out with even if you were never going to make music. But the fact that you're making music is what makes it even more worth it.
Right. That's dope, man. That is great advice. Wow. And Wow.
Thanks, Nelly.
I mean, you know, you definitely hit two birds with one stone on that. Advice from someone else, and then, you know, the advice that you would give to everyone else. And wow, that's so true. I mean, it's hard to make music with people you don't get along with. So, you know, like,
I've heard that from 100 musicians. They'd rather make music with a person that's better to hang out with than the person that's technically more talented or technically more proficient, say as a guitar player. I don't want that guitar player in my band, though, because he's a dick, and we'd have to be in a tour band all day and on stage all night, and I don't want to deal with it. That other guy, he's pretty good at guitar, but he is really funny. Let's hire him.
Right.
we can teach him the songs. He'll warm up after a couple of shows. It'll be cool.
Damn.
But the other 23 hours of the day will be way better.
Wow. I hope you guys are listening to this, Beat Grinders. That's it pays to be personable. It pays to be approachable, and it just pays to be just a cool person. So don't be a dick. So.
And the music community is way smaller than you might think. The actual people that actually keep showing up and don't quit and don't show up again 5 years later, the people that are actually there on a day-to-day basis in whatever circle they're in, there's not that many of them.
Right.
And they know each other. And if I'm an asshole, somebody else is definitely going to hear about it.
Right, yep.
Like, you know, that's not the reason to not be an asshole, but that's like another good reason to not be an asshole.
Right. That's for sure, man. Well, that's what's up, man. I mean, you just killed it. I think you ended the interview with I mean, you couldn't have ended it any better way. Don't be a dick. Don't be an asshole. So,
yeah, right.
But to be serious here, man. Thank you for everything, man. Thank you for coming on the show and just spreading all of your knowledge, or most of your knowledge, and hitting us with all your gems. And I'm gonna grow from this interview, Beat Grinders. I hope that you guys do the same. And man, if you have any more words for the listeners, if you want to let them know how to contact you, if you want to be contacted, what they need to be looking out for from you, and what they can pick up that you've already released, that'd be great, man.
Man, I would definitely say go check out that Sam Shoemaker and Trap Jesus Grimy Gospel EP. It's on all streaming platforms, and it's out. So go get that. And you know, what would Trap Jesus do on Instagram and on some other ones too, man. I'm mostly on Instagram though, and then hit me at Trap Jesus on Facebook. I'm there too. You'll see the same logo. It's that Jesus with the halo and the sunglasses. That's me.
Okay. All right. Well, Beat Grinders, definitely go follow this guy. You know, like I said, he dropped gems on here, and I'm sure he'll do the same on his social media. He's definitely a good follow. Also, go listen to his music on SoundCloud, and go check out his new album that he just released. So I want to thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of Beats Grinding Life. If you found this show of any value, please share it out with all your other producer friends and buddies. Put it on Instagram, take a snap, put it on Insta stories, and tag Trap Jesus and let him know how he affected you guys and what this interview meant to you. Also tag me and let me know as well. Be sure to rate and review this podcast in iTunes. Put a like on it on SoundCloud. And you guys know how it goes. You've been mentored by another dope producer. This time you've been mentored by Trap Jesus. So you guys consider yourselves lucky. Continue making beats. Stay on your grind and live life. All right, peace, y'all.
Here at Beats Grinding Life, we want to thank you for listening to another episode. We want to know, what were your biggest takeaways from this interview? Just go to beatsgrindinglife.com and leave a comment on this episode's show notes page. Also, while you are there, go subscribe to the podcast on iTunes. Just click the little button that says subscribe. If you could, please leave a rating and review. Rating and reviews are the best way to show your appreciation because it helps more people find out about the podcast. So until next week's episode, keep grinding.